Hi, and welcome to this micro lesson. We are sharing quick and practical tools and information that can help you strengthen programming to refugees and other ORR eligible communities across the state of California. This project is in partnership with CDSS and the Refugee Programs Bureau. My name is Carissa, and I'm an associate consultant with Solvera. Today, we're going to take a closer look at refugee resettlement agencies, who they are, what they do, how they work, and why their role can be often confusing. This lesson is for community organizations, county partners, faith-based groups, ECBOs, and others who interact with refugee resettlement agencies, or RAs, on a daily basis, but maybe don't know all that happens behind the scenes. When we talk about refugee resettlement agencies specifically, we're referring to local affiliates that operate under a federal contract to support refugees during their first few weeks and months in the US. You may also hear these agencies referred to as VOLAGs, which is short for volunteer agencies. VOLAGs receive federal funding to manage the reception and placement program. That can be also referred to as R&P. And their local affiliates will carry out the day-to-day work with families who are arriving. One of the core responsibilities of these agencies is implementing a highly structured and time-bound program called Reception and Placement, R&P. This program just lasts 30 to 90 days, and nearly every task is spelled out in the contract. So think about it less as a broad social service model and more as a checklist of required duties, like securing initial housing or applying for documents, accessing and arranging cultural orientation, and linking clients to benefits and early services. This structure means that RAs must meet specific deadlines, which can often make their timelines feel rushed or rigid to other partners. But it's not by choice necessarily, it's by design of that program. So there are typical things that RAs are responsible for, but it is important to note that refugee resettlement work changes frequently. Policies, funding, and contract rules all can change very quickly in this environment. So these duties that I list may shift over time. But typically for RAs with the reception and placement program, they'll be doing some work before somebody arrives, like securing and finding initial safe and affordable housing, or trying to find furnishings, coordinating airport reception and transportation, and preparing culturally appropriate welcome meal for the family when they arrive. And then upon arrival, they will have to meet the family at the airport, orient them to their new home and immediate safety considerations, and also conduct those initial intake assessments. And then within the next 30 to 90 days, there are going to be a multitude of other things that they will be working on, such as applying for essential documents like social security numbers, IDs, benefits, connecting clients to medical screenings and initial health services, providing and documenting cultural orientation, enrolling children in school, supporting early employment and job readiness, offering some case management and goal planning and self-sufficiency planning, and then also facilitating community referrals and ongoing support, which is where a lot of you are connected to these agencies. Imagine a typical arrival for an RA. A family lands tonight, and the team has already been preparing for days, arranging housing, coordinating transportation, stocking groceries, ensuring utilities are active, and anticipating needs with limited information that they're provided ahead of time. Once the family arrives, the clock starts. There's a short window to complete health steps, apply for documents, do cultural orientation, and prepare them for the next phase of their journey. The RA staff often juggle multiple arrivals, unpredictable caseloads, and systems that don't always move quickly. So the work is obviously very meaningful and high impact, but it is also very demanding. And may most partners working with resettlement agencies may only see that front stage of their work, not the constant backstage coordination that is happening. RA staff often juggle multiple arrivals, unpredictable caseloads, and systems that don't always move very quickly. So, and this work is very meaningful and high impact, but it's also so demanding. So, providing this little insight into some of the things that RAs are fully responsible for can help pull back the curtain and show what is happening kind of backstage. It is important to note that, as I've already kind of mentioned, the resettlement environment does shift quite constantly. The example I just mentioned about the reception and placement program may look different next year or next month. However, many RAs are operating multiple programs from different funders, government or non-government, so that structure and urgency is also going to be apparent in the several other things that they're operating to. We know that in this changing environment, funding shifts, arrival numbers fluctuate, policies evolve, staffing expands and contracts. However, we also know that many agencies across California experience very similar pressures, not just RAs. So these challenges are make everybody able to relate a little bit more across our entire ecosystem. These rapid changes do affect what RAs are able to do, how quickly tasks can be completed, and how predictable workloads feel. When partners can empathize with this and understand this, communication challenges can start to make a little bit more sense. Not they're seen as not maybe a lack of interest, but as a reflection of the environment that is moving often and quickly. And again, I know this is not just for resettlement agencies, so everyone can relate to this changing environment with a lot of work. Collaboration with RAs is strongest when it's approached with curiosity, shared understanding, and clear next steps. It helps to see RAs not just as service providers who should do everything. Nobody wants to feel like that, but all of us probably relate with wanting to be able to do everything. But to view RAs as just a specific piece of that larger support system, a piece that does have defined federal requirements and very short timelines. RAs rely on partners like you who are watching this micro lesson, people who work at community-based organizations, ECBOs, other county workers, faith groups. They are relied upon to extend additional support to this work through language interpretation, cultural knowledge, mentorship, employment support, transportation, public benefits navigation, and like additional long-term guidance. So, misunderstandings when partnering together often arise when assumptions are made from partners or from RAs themselves about what should be possible, what is possible. But when we look at the structure of the system, we can gain a clearer picture about why some tasks are able to move very quickly and others require patience, coordination, and that shared responsibility. Understanding resettlement agencies strengthens collaboration. And ultimately, it strengthens the support ecosystem for newcomers across California. When we build realistic expectations, come with humility, communicate openly, and recognize the limits and pressures that agencies are operating within, we can create a more coordinated and compassionate network for the communities across California. To explore this topic specifically a little bit more further about RAs, who they are, what they're required to do, you can find a lot of linked resources on our website, including guides, fact sheets, and additional support information to learn even more. Also, in the spirit of talking about collaborating and coordination with RAs and other community partners, we do have a webinar that is on our website called Building Bridges. This is where you can dive a little bit more deeply into community collaboration that improves client coordination. I encourage you to also look at that one so we can all learn together about how we can better support each other as partners. Thank you again for watching this micro lesson about resettlement agencies. I hope we're walking away with just a little bit more information about what they do, what they're responsible for, and how we can all work together to collaborate for the communities that we serve across California. Please feel free to provide any feedback for us using the QR code on the screen. Thank you again for watching. Thank you from Solvera, your partner in Impact.